All right, now let me show you how to solve equations through completing the square. Now the full completing the square when you don't have a 1 in front is very complicated. It has many, many steps. So before we do the most complicated version of the completing the square, I want to show you the version where the x squared's coefficient is 1. Now this one is not really 1, so let's first multiply by -1 so that it's 1. So if I multiply everything by -1, I get x squared minus 2x minus 9 equal to 0. So let's try to solve this. Okay. So completing the square means you want to make it look like this, plus some another number. Okay. I want to make this side look like this, plus some other number. Now, because this is what you're aiming for, you really need to know what this is. This is, well, if you multiply x plus a times x plus a, let's see, that's x times x squared, x times a, which is ax, a times x, that's another ax, a times a, which is a squared, so that's x squared plus 2ax plus a squared. Okay? A lot of people don't pay attention to this intricacy, and they just say, oh, this must be x squared and a squared, and they forget the 2ax. Okay, but there is this 2ax. Now, what I want to point out here is that look at this 2a and a squared. In other words, if x squared minus 2x that you see here, plus whatever, I don't really know what number that is, but if this is same as that, what should a be? 2a should be equal to -2, so a must be? If 2a is -2, a must be? -1, right? Okay. So that's how you figure out the a value, and knowing the a value is the key because that's what you're going to put inside the squared. Okay? All right. But since it's hard to write this all the time and do this, here's the quick shortcut. The quick shortcut is you want to take this number in front of x, whatever that is, use that number, and take half of it. So this divided by 2 is the number that you place inside the square. Got it? Okay. And the reason that this works is because of what we just calculated. Okay? We just figured out that a must be -1 from here, right? But that's the long way. You don't want to do that. Just say whatever you're given, just divide by 2, put that number here. Good? All right. Yep. And then here, I mean, there are many other ways to do this, but the way I like to do it is the following. If you take -1 and you square it, it's +1. So if you expand this, you're going to get +1, right? Agreed? But instead, you have -9. So there must be something here. So here's the question. +1 plus what gives you this -9? What is this? -10. Is that good? All right. 1 plus -10 is -9. Good? All right. So you put that -10 here. That's it. That's completing the square. Okay? It's very simple, right? Okay, it's simple to do it this way if this is an even number. Now, if it's not an even number, it's a little bit more tricky. But you can do it in a similar fashion. Okay? But at least when this is an even number, when this is 1, all you have to do is just take half of that and ask, well, if you square -1 squared, that's +1. 1 plus what gives you -9? -10 gives you -9. So that's what you do. Okay, now how does this help you to actually solve the equation? Well, it goes like this. You move this 10 to the other side. And then you take away the square root by taking the square root both sides, right? But whenever you do that, you have to do something more. What am I missing here? You have to do plus or minus. Okay, that's something you always have to do. See, this is another question that's unrelated to this, but I'm just asking, if you had x squared equal to 4, what's x? Is it just square root of 4?
Yeah.
It could also be negative square root of 4, right? It's plus minus 2, isn't it? Because if you take negative 2 squared, that's also 4. So whenever you take the square away, you need plus and minus. That's why you need this plus minus, okay? You do that, and then add 1 both sides. You get 1 plus minus square root of 10. That's the answer. That's how you solve an equation using completing the square.